Happy Halloween. This is Linda with No Frills ASMR. I had this idea today of reading to you from The Raven by Edgar Allan Poe. But then when I looked at it, I realized it's wouldn't be that exciting. So I've changed it up, and I think we'll do a little cutting out craft project whilst talking about what used to scare me when I was a kid. And I'd love to hear what scared you as a kid. But before we do that, since I brought up old Edgar Allan Poe, I put this thing on my light, one of my tops I wear sometimes, to try to make it, I can't show you, to try to make it look spooky in here, but I don't know if it worked. So let's look up The Raven real quick so we don't miss out on that fun. We need R. What the heck? Oh, there it is, The Raven, page 134. Whoa, that's Pearl Harbor. There's Eddie. Edgar Allan Poe. You know, he was buried in Baltimore. And for many, 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 many years, somebody would show up on his birthday. Boy, now I forget. What would they put? They'd put was it a glass of wine and a rose on his grave? And no one ever knew who did it, who was doing it. I think that it just stopped recently. I don't know. I'd have to look that story up. I'm not sure. All right. It says The Raven, a poem by Edgar Allan Poe. A man mourning for his lost lover is visited by a raven that tells him he will see her nevermore. The poem begins with these famous lines. Once upon a midnight dreary, while I pondered, weak and weary, over many a quaint and curious volume of forgotten lore, while I nodded, nearly napping, suddenly there came a tapping, as of someone gently rapping at my chamber door. And it was a raven, and the raven wouldn't go away, and the raven only would say, nevermore. And he kind of pines for his lost love, whether she had died or left him or whatever, named Lenore. And quoth the raven, nevermore. See, I love poetry. I get a little goosebumpy when I think about it. Anyway, okay. So I have this idea to do one of our, I don't know if you guys watched the Mothman video, but I have a couple pieces of big black paper. I need a lighter. Let's see. And I thought I could try to cut a raven out of it. Oh, I don't know where to begin. I gotta think on this for a second. Yeah, so I was thinking, well, we could just talk about like what were spooky, what scared you, I guess, really as a kid. Well, I know, and I think I've told my story before. That's the problem. Somebody asked me to do like a question and answer thing, but honestly, within 500 something videos I've made, I've told you every story. I don't think I have anything left. But this one. My bedroom growing up was, okay, like here's the door to my bedroom right here. And then it went here and there's a window. And then there was a small window here. I mean, not small, but you know. And then it came this way. I should have given myself more room. And there was a door here. And this door is where the trouble was. Because this door was a closet like that. But then there was another door on this part of the closet. Full-size doors. Full size. And this door led up a flight of steps that went into a horrifying, terrible gates of hell. That's attic. I can't even say it. It's choking me up. Attic that was unfinished and had cobwebs, and it was so scary. And the attic windows, it was kind of like, you know, a Dutch colonial, I think they call it. And so in the attic room, the windows kind of came up off of the floor, but they were full-size windows. And as a kid, you know, you'd want to like look out these windows. And I think my mom had a fear that we would fall out the window. So she told us, if you walk anywhere near this window, you'll fall out the window and die. Because it's like 3 stories up. And, you know, that's not bad advice. This house was built in, I think, 1926, maybe 1928. I don't remember. But you probably could fall out of the window. So, like, that started the scary. But then, every time you went up there, there was like one, it seems to me like one light bulb that was just hanging. And it's a pretty big room. And so this gave off minimal light. And my mom would keep her winter clothes up in the attic and her summer clothes downstairs. And then, change the season, she'd switch them. But she would ask me, she'd be like, Linda, can you go up and get my whatever coat? And I'd have to go up there all by myself. And it was terrifying. So, like, it was always like a scary place. And I knew, because I read, you know, Casper the Ghost, that there were for sure at least friendly ghosts up there, but probably other ghosts up there too. And I could hear them, you know, rattling around at night from my bedroom. And I'd go to my mom and say, I can't sleep, there's noises. And she'd say, no, you know. But of course, I'm sure there were squirrels and stuff up in there. Now, what happened around, I don't know, probably 1979, I would say. I was probably about 9 years old. There used to be a TV show called Siskel and Ebert. I think it was called At the Movies with Siskel and Ebert, something like that. And they reviewed movies. Now, I have been a movie person since I was a little kid. I've always liked it. So I was watching Siskel and Ebert. And this is like such a clear memory. And they were doing a review of the movie Halloween. The original movie Halloween had come out. So I'm guessing around 1979, but I'm not sure. And during the review, they'd show clips from the movie. So I had not seen the movie. I just saw the review by Siskel and Ebert. And Ebert was like, this is a good movie. And they showed the clip where Jamie Lee Curtis is in the closet and Michael Meyer is like walking towards her and then opens the closet, and she's like got the hanger, I think, and is like poking at him or something. Oh my God. I was so terrified. So up until that point, for some reason, this door would open like this way. You know, so it opened like this. So I had my bed. Sometimes I had it in this corner. Sometimes I had it in this corner. But for some reason, I don't even know why, I had my bed right here, so it wasn't against the backboard, wasn't against a wall. And it was like that so you could still get into the closet, so my mom could get in the closet when she needed to. And I think I had some setup going on over here that seemed fun, like a toy area or something. I don't know, so I didn't want to interrupt that. But so here I am, 9 years old, sleeping in my bed that night. And sometimes when the wind would gust, this is my guess, it could have been a ghost, I don't know. But sometimes when the wind would move, these doors would rattle. They'd kind of go. So the night that I saw that, this door is rattling, and then this door starts rattling. I about wet the bed. I had to get up and run and sleep in my sister's room on the floor because I was so scared. I was like, oh my God, he's coming. So then after that, I was just so scared. My mom's like, you can't sleep in your sister's room all the time. Well, my sister may have said that. But so I put my bed right here. And so it was up against the door so that no bad guys could come in. But of course, then you're always thinking like, they're going to come in right behind you. But the door opened that way. So I felt like if I was locking the door closed, I'd be better off. So that's what I did. And then anytime I had to go in my closet or anybody had to go in the closet, you had to move the bed out of the way to get in the closet. So yeah, Michael Meyer was my first like true demon fear, you know what I mean? I think this is a pretty accurate representation of my attic. One hanging light bulb and 2 ghosts. And windows you'll fall out of. Anyway, I guess I need this stuff. So that's that story. I should have made this guy's head bigger. I may have to start this over. I don't know. But the other thing I did was I was in charge of taking out the garbage in my house because this is my own stupid fault. I don't like this. I'm starting over. Hold on. Oops. I have another piece of paper. We had to do chores, and one chore was setting the table every night. See, I've told this story before too. But the other chore was, I made an example one for myself. I gotta look at because I can't think how I made it. I'm going to show you my finished product. I was kind of goofing around before I made this. Look at this perfect one I made. Now I can't make him. I gotta use this as a template or something. See, I practice sometimes. Anyway, so you could either set the table, do the laundry, like no thanks, or take out the garbage. And I was the youngest and the, baby. So I think my mom being nice to me was like, well, Linda gets to set the table because that's pretty easy stuff, really. But I felt like it was torture because I had to do that every single night. And my brother really only had to take out the garbage once a week. So I begged and begged him to trade jobs with me. And he kept telling me, you don't want the garbage. And I was like, yeah, I do. So he's like, okay, great, you take the garbage. Okay, that's better. I think I like that better. So, yeah, you don't have to do it every night, but you have to go outside. And in Michigan, in the winter, it's dark at like 5, and it's freezing cold. And so I'd have to go out there in the dark and the cold to take it out. And it was a house with 5 people before you were even careful about, like, waste, like maybe you are now. So it was so much garbage. And it would be so scary taking the garbage out because the way our old house was set up, the like the house is here and then the garage is here. And so the garbage is over here by the garage. And then you have to go up the driveway and take it out to the street, which doesn't seem like a lot. But when you're a little kid and it's pitch black and you have to like go out to the garage, which has no lights. It's not like a modern garage. It's a 1920s garage. It was so scary. And I would like practically have a panic attack every time. And then, but I couldn't complain because I had begged my brother to give me the job. I was like, kind of mean. I was like, you don't want to give it to me. So then I had to act like it wasn't scary. I should probably make these deeper. Oh well. I'll make them deeper as I go, maybe. But so one night, and this was like when I was old, like in high school, I go to take the garbage out, and still I'm scared to death. And I get to the garbage can, and there is an opossum. And I can't remember now if he was actually inside of the can or like, I think it was when I moved one can, he was right between them. And I love opossums now because they eat their body weight in ticks. They're like super good, but they're ugly, ugly, ugly. And he had all these teeth, and he just like reared up and hissed, and he was going, I came running back inside the house. I'm like, oh my God. Yeah. I guess the other thing that would really scare me is we used to camp a lot. We went camping on our road trips growing up. Like, we didn't stay at hotels much at all. I'd say we camped most of the time. And at night, when you'd have to go to the bathroom, you'd have to get your flashlight and leave the tent and go walk in the pitch black darkness and flashlights aren't like they were today. Now you get these flashlights, they light up the whole town. These things were like little. You saw a little pool right in front of you, and that's if it worked. Half the time you were shaking it and smacking it. But and then you'd have to go in the little pit toilet with the spiders, and I was always scared something would jump out of the inside of the toilet because that seemed like it could happen. But I think usually I'd wake my sister up and then she'd wake me up, so we'd go together because we were too scared. I can't think of what would have been the first horror movie I've never been super into horror movies. Probably, I don't know, does Jaws count? Because that's my favorite. That's one of my favorite all-time movies. I saw that fairly young. And like in Detroit, there used to be, there was Bill Kennedy at the movies. And there was a Count Scary, and he'd say, "Ooh, that's scary." Yeah, I remember that. But anyway, and so you'd see like the old version of The Fly, like from the 1950s, and King Kong, and what else? House of Wax. There are all these old horror movies. So I guess The Fly was probably the first actually scary movie. Like now I could be wrong because I haven't seen it in years, but I think even the old 1950s version of that is good. But the Jeff Goldblum version is also really good. as I recall. Now, I haven't seen it in 30 years, but I think so. This is looking more like the Phoenix from Hunger Games then. I gotta cut an eyeball. How am I gonna do it like this? Fold that maybe. But then I guess, let's see, in high school, I mean, by high school, like a lot of people had like, I don't know what, cable, like Cinemax, and they'd play Friday the 13th movies and things like that. I'm trying to think. Do you guys remember on Cinemax late at night, they'd always show that? This is not spooky, but Benny Hill. And it would have the beginning where they were like running, and you're like, what is this? I don't think I ever actually watched the show, just the start with the woman with no top on running away from him or something. Anyway, scary. I remember seeing one scary movie, and I feel like it was Night of the Living Dead, so it wouldn't have been when it originally came out. They must have, re-released in the 80s. I don't know if that was it. Was it? It was one of those zombie type movies because we saw it at a totally fully crowded theater, and there were these women behind us who were hilarious, and they were screaming like you know how in the movies they kind of make fun of people and go, don't go in there. They were literally like, honey, don't go in there. What are you doing? It was making me laugh. I had so much fun. That was a great night, actually. Yeah, I don't even remember the movie. I just remember the experience. Like, I kind of think maybe seeing a horror movie is better experienced with a crowd. And that's something with theaters kind of struggling that I think will be missed, is seeing a good horror movie with a crowd or a good comedy with a crowd. Those are movies that are more fun with a crowd. I was trying to watch a whole bunch of horror movies, and then I was going to do like a list for you guys on here, but I didn't get through very many. But I still might do the ones that I watched. I wouldn't even call them all horror really, but kind of like that. All right. But just in case I do that, go watch the movie. If you're okay with like serial killers kind of thing, called Red Rooms. I think that's what it's called, either Red Room or Red Rooms. I think it's Red Rooms. And you do have to watch it if you don't speak French with subtitles, because it's from Canada. It's in French. But I watched it last night. I thought that was good. I don't know if I'd call it a horror movie. It's more like a suspense. But if I do a video on the movies I watch, that's one of them. All right, guys, let's see how he looks. How am I going to show him to you? My background is not showing him off. I need something white to put him on. Hold on. Let's see what I have here. Here we go. This will work. Get ready. Ooh, that's supposed to be a raven. He's more like a phoenix. He's close though. Alright, well, I'll talk to you guys soon. Someday I'll find an old book of Edgar Allan Poe, and then maybe I'll read it where I can turn the pages.